So I just finished watching the Oscars. It pretty much went exactly how I thought that it was going to go. Uh, I figured Joaquin Phoenix was going to win Best Actor. Renee Zellweger was very successful this awards season, and I figured she'd win for Judy, even though I've never heard of this movie and apparently it wasn't that good. Laura Dern winning Supporting Actress and Brad Pitt winning Supporting Actor wasn't surprising either. Basically, the big thing that was surprising, and it was a nice surprise, was Parasite winning as many awards as it did. History was made tonight. Parasite is the first international film to win Best Picture, so that was really cool. Everything else it won was amazing. The movie is incredible. If you haven't seen it yet, you should check it out. It is just incredible. But besides Parasite having a really good night tonight, nothing else was really surprising. I was hoping Avengers Endgame might win visual effects, but Infinity War last year didn't win visual effects, and the Academy has kind of proven that they are more practical effect driven than anything else. They don't like the full green screens or anything, but I thought maybe the wonderful character work and everything that was done for Professor Hulk and Thanos might push it over the edge, but didn't happen, but that's okay. Um, some other big surprises of the night, as people have been saying, I don't think anyone expected Eminem to show up to perform Lose Yourself, and that was kind of a fun surprise too. Not exactly sure what it meant, but it was a nice change of pace. I guess Randy Newman singing Toy Story songs was kind of random too. Um, I was, like I said, I was happy that Parasite had a good night tonight. I thought, even though it wasn't surprising that Laura Dern won, it was well deserved. Brad Pitt's win was well deserved. Jojo Rabbit with the adapted screenplay was well deserved. Um, as far as, let's say, like animated feature, I figured something safe like Toy Story 4 would win, but I was kind of hoping I Lost My Body would win. It's a unique movie. It's really cool. It's different. But who knows? Maybe since Parasite had such a nice night tonight, that maybe that'll open the door for international film to be a little bit more kind of considered for other categories besides just foreign language film. A lot of the time in the past, a foreign language film usually just won the foreign language category, and tonight it really branched out, so hopefully that means something good for the future. So we'll have to see about that. Usually on nights like this, I will make a ballot and I will pick who I think will win, and I spend a lot of time trying to catch up with things that I haven't seen and make sure I've seen all the movies that are nominated for awards in their respective categories, and I just didn't really have the desire to do that this year. And it's not because the Oscars don't reflect my opinions or that I was upset with them. It's just, I feel like little by little I've been caring less and less what the Academy gives awards to. And I think part of that is, I'm 30 years old. I'm going to be 31 next month. That's a little bit crazy. And I think I've just gotten over this kind of feeling that winning an Oscar matters. Now, I know that it matters to the people that make the films, and I know that it matters to be nominated for people in the business, but honestly, other than that, it really doesn't matter. A lot of people, though, seem to act like that they do matter, and I think that that's mainly because the Oscar, the Academy Awards, have become the award for the film business. It's the most prestigious award you can win in Hollywood. And I don't know why it ended up like that. Probably just as history went along, it just kind of became that way. But because it's the most prestigious award that you can get from Hollywood, there are a lot of people in this world that think that that makes them matter. But we have to remember that art is subjective. Movies are art. So just because a movie gets an award doesn't necessarily mean that you need to like that movie or that it really matters. There was a lot of controversy leading up to this year. What some people don't realize is that the Academy always has controversy every single year when it releases its nominations, but it seemed like there was more this year because, there's an Oscars so male hashtag going around before tonight's ceremony, and I kind of do empathize because 2019 was a strong year for women, and I think that there was some ignorance online leading up to the ceremony. For instance, there were a lot of people that, a lot of men, I should say, a lot of men were just like, oh, what movies did women make this year? And I'd just like you to know that Lulu Wang made The Farewell, which is an incredible film. Very incredible. You should check it out. Olivia Wilde, the Olivia Wilde, made a movie called Booksmart. It's hilarious. It's a great teen comedy. Jonah Hill's sister, Beanie Feldstein, is amazing in it. Jennifer Kent made the unforgettable Nightingale. One of the most disturbing things I have seen in a while. It's a wonderful movie, it's an important movie, but I only plan to watch it once because the subject matter is so extreme that I only feel like I can put myself through it one time. And if you ever get around to seeing it, you'll know why. Jennifer Kent also made The Babadook, which is, I'd say, one of the best horror films of the 21st century, and she really knocks it out of the park. She stares into the darkness and she doesn't blink, and that's why her two films so far have been so good. And, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood was directed by a woman. Hustlers was directed by a woman. Women made great movies this year, and I know that that was a big topic of concern, that a lot of women weren't nominated for Best Director this year. And, I do empathize because I do love a lot of those movies, but at the same time, we can't really decide the opinions of other people for them. I mean, the Academy is just made up of a couple of hundred of Hollywood people, and they get to vote for the categories, and it's a very political process. There's a lot of campaigning, there's a lot of whining and dining for the Academy members, and that's how they decide who's gonna win. Okay, sorry about that. Apparently, I can only make 9-minute videos at a time on this cell phone. So anyway, what I was saying was, it's a very political process for the Academy to decide the winners each year for the Oscars, and the studios and the filmmakers campaign very hard for their movies to win. But I mean, at the end of the day, all the Academy Awards are just the opinions of a few hundred Hollywood people and what they thought of the year and how they want to define Hollywood for 2019 in particular this year. That's basically it. Um, you know, I don't really think that just because someone lives in Hollywood and they've seen tons of movies over their lifespan that automatically makes their opinions better than ours. Obviously, they're going to be more informed than the average Joe, but that doesn't necessarily, to me, seem like I don't think that necessarily means that their opinions are higher than ours or better than anybody else's. Like I said, art is subjective, and this is just what Hollywood thinks of what they did last year. And I think that's why I'm always going to be curious about the Oscars, um, just because I like to see what people think of the end of the year, any given year. On my own website, I make end of the year lists, and I love reading end of the year lists when it comes to movies and television, and it's just fun to see what people think of the year once it's over. And that doesn't necessarily, and that doesn't mean that anybody's opinion is better than anyone else's. So that's why I don't really understand why people get so worked up when movies that they like aren't nominated for things. Um, I would say that there's some things that the Academy could do that would only make them better. And I think if they diversified the Academy a little bit better, um, it could give the opportunity for those movies to kind of stand out more. Movies made by women and movies made by minorities and such. It would give those movies a better opportunity to stand out in an awards season and hopefully get nominated and maybe even win. But at the end of the day, we can't tell somebody else what they thought of a movie. It's okay to be disappointed when something doesn't get nominated, and it's okay to be disappointed about that, but to accuse the Academy of sexism, I think, is a little extreme. I was reading an end of the year TV list back in December on Rolling Stone, and this guy was accused of sexism simply because he didn't put The Handmaid's Tale on his best of 2019 list. And again, that's such an extreme claim that's a little bit off-putting. I think that we need to be careful on the labels that we put on people and the labels that we put on institutions just because they don't think the way we do. But with that said, I would like to see the Academy diversify a little bit in the coming years. I wrote about this subject last month, and honestly, the greatest award that any of us can give any of these movies is to just keep watching them and to keep talking about them. That's really how they live on, and that's kind of what I mean by, you know, besides the people who win them and get nominated, the Oscars really don't matter, and they're only prestigious because, Hollywood says that they're prestigious. But that doesn't mean that we have to think that as well. There have been a lot of movies that have won Best Picture over the years that have kind of fallen to obscurity. And if you look at something like, say, The Big Lebowski from 1998, a lot of people love that movie. Almost everybody that I talk to loves that movie. I love that movie. And it was critically lukewarm when it came out in 1998, and it was kind of a box office dud. But over the years, it found its audience, the popularity grew, and now it's still one of the most talked about comedies out there. And it didn't win any special awards or anything like that, yet it's still popular and people still talk about it, and they still love it. While, like I said, lots of films that have won Best Picture have fallen to obscurity. So, really, at the end of the day, all of this, it's really up to us how long a movie lasts, and to not get too carried away by what gets nominated and what doesn't get nominated. It's really up to us, the fans, on the shelf life of these movies. And, just remember, don't take it seriously. It is just an awards show, and it's just what Hollywood thinks of what they've done over the year. And I mean, like I said, it shook out just as I thought that it would. And I think anybody who watches enough of these ceremonies and analyzes what has won over the years, if you print off a ballot and you try to guess who wins, you'd probably do a good job because the Oscars are predictable. They look for a very specific type of film to win in these categories. Lots of movies about social subjects, historical subjects, usually do really well at the Academy Awards. And this year, for the most part, was no different. So, um, it's predictable, and I guess it's still a little bit interesting, but I guess I'm just saying, don't take it too seriously, because at the end of the day, it is just an award show, and what you think of movies at the end of the day still matters. So, thank you. That's all.